When any person is constantly put into a position where they have to do things that they feel are wrong, it can be very stressful. It's like being at war with yourself. This condition is called cognitive dissonance. This video explains how cognitive dissonance affects us as individuals, organizations, and as a nation. Here's a clip of therapist Emma Mcadams explaining cognitive dissonance.
In this video, you're going to learn about cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when we have a gap between what we believe is right and what we're doing. That creates dissonance in our lives. This means that we believe one thing, but we're acting on something else. When we have unresolved gaps between our thoughts and our actions, we feel intensely uncomfortable. You can do all the coping and the meditation and the self-care that you can handle, but if you can't figure out cognitive dissonance, you're just not going to feel good. There is no substitute for integrity when it comes to peace of mind.
So basically, cognitive dissonance is a fancy psychological term that means your conscience is bothering you. It has a lot to do with our sense of right and wrong and being put in a position when we have to do things that we think are wrong. In other words, we get depressed when we realize we are being hypocrites. We are living in a time when human beings have achieved the level of scientific, technological, and philosophical knowledge to solve all the social and environmental challenges that we face. So why are we still heading down this path of self-destruction? Why is it that after more than 5,000 years of civilization, we are still unable to deliver societies that are free of inequity, bigotry, corruption, oppression, and wars? Why are we still unable to apply our collective intelligence towards the greater good? Why can't we simply do the right thing? There are two contributing factors. One is the duality of human nature. On one hand, we have an ego, a personal identity that is only concerned with the self and personal desires. We also have a conscience, an innate sense of connectivity, and a logical understanding that we must collaborate and cooperate with each other to survive as a species. This sense of connectivity, which we call love or the higher self, enhances our moral values and our commitment to each other. However, this sense of connectivity also makes us vulnerable to tribal thinking, a phenomenon that enables us to limit our morality, our love, and sense of right and wrong only to those that look like us, speak like us, or share our tribal perceptions of life. In other words, it empowers our bigotry. The second factor is that our leadership systems and structures are not used to deliver on the altruistic values that we claim we aspire to: unity, equity, justice, and peace. Although our governance systems can be applied in ways that would serve the greater good, they are generally applied in a manner that maintains the control of the masses while serving the interests of those in positions of power and their financial supporters. Our systems and structures are used to implement a divide and conquer strategy that takes advantage of our natural predisposition to tribal thinking and relationships. We have been stripped of our individual thinking, and our perceptions of right and wrong are now determined by our tribal positions as opposed to our individual positions of right and wrong. The reality is, there are no left or right policies. There are only policies that are beneficial to the people or detrimental to the people. There are only practices that are damaging to the environment or those that aren't. But we are forced to support certain policies and practices that we know in our hearts are wrong because of our allegiance to a particular tribe or party. Why should a voter have to choose between gun control and environmental protection? Why can't we vote on what we believe is right and wrong based on each policy? This is a recipe for confusion and conflict, And that is exactly what we are experiencing as individuals and as a society. There has been a great deal of study on this phenomenon of cognitive dissonance and on the levels of stress and depression rising in our societies as more and more people are put in situations where their moral and personal needs come into conflict. Cognitive dissonance occurs when our decisions and our behaviors are not aligned with our values and beliefs. This leads to psychological discomfort that usually manifests itself in stress, guilt, depression, or frustration. As individuals, we generally deal with cognitive dissonance in one of three ways. We make changes, we deny, or we justify. We may choose to either 1. Change our behaviors so that they are aligned to our beliefs and live with the consequences, or we adjust our thinking or beliefs based on new information. And others justify the wrongdoing by adopting positions like the ends justify the means, or it's only business, it's not personal.
What can I do for you, Madam President? What is it?
I don't know what to do in Bashran. I can recognize the Bashani rebels, the people who overthrew Rashad, and deliver peace to that region, or I can stand up to them.
And what would that get you?
Peace of mind.
Why are you making this so complicated? So what if Rashad's a good guy? He's one man. And you have the chance to save the lives of millions in that region. You can bear witness to the first generation of children to be raised without hatred of their neighbor before they even met them. What is the dilemma other than your ego? Why can't people just do the right thing? Is it that hard? You know what's right, but you're trying to find justification to do the wrong thing. This whole town is so twisted.
The only healthy and effective way to treat with cognitive dissonance is by acknowledging the reality and making the appropriate changes. This phenomenon of cognitive dissonance can also exist on a collective or social level. For example, in an organization, it can contribute to a poisoned environment, such as a police precinct plagued with corruption. Or on a national level, it can lead to social unrest. We are experiencing that right now all over the planet. Many of today's leaders have perfected their ability to rationalize unethical decisions and actions or to manipulate public opinion through selective information sharing. Their leadership positions serve only as platforms of opportunity for personal gain. This attitude of indifference towards accountability and the needs of the people is manifesting into growing distrust in our leaders and increased social unrest.
The opposite of dissonance is integrity. Integrity is not just about being honest with our words. Integrity means that we line up our actions with our values. And in my opinion, integrity is the path to positive self-worth, to more peaceful emotions, and a successful, purposeful life.
When cognitive dissonance occurs on a national level, a country can rip itself apart. As stated by Ms. Mcadams, the only answer to this problem is integrity. Whether on an individual level or an institutional level, integrity is the key. Institutional integrity, specifically in our governments and our courts, is critical to positive global change. These are the institutions responsible for delivering peace, justice, and quality of life to citizens. And if the occupants of leadership positions in our courts and governments are void of character or vulnerable to unethical influence, then the society will be a haven of corruption and crime. We need a new generation of leaders that are genuinely and sincerely committed to serving the greater good. This problem must be addressed in two ways. We must revisit and redesign our leadership structures and systems. And on the community level, we must embrace and include the concept of spiritual intelligence in our educational and training programs to reduce incidents of corrupt activity in the government and the social impact of cognitive dissonance. I hope you find this content useful and you will share it with others. Subscribe to our channel for information on other critical issues and how you may contribute to the greater good. And please leave us your comments and recommendations below. Let's build a better world together.